The Ministry of Economy confirms the improved performance of the Omani economy in 2023 and indicates an increase in the gross domestic product to 26 billion Omani Riyals until the end of last September. The Israeli occupation forces continue its aerial and artillery bombardments on several areas of Gaza Strip. And the World Health Organization warns of the deteriorating humanitarian crisis in Sudan and calls on the international community to take urgent measures. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. The Minister of Economy affirmed that the economic indicators of the Omani economy are positive and reassuring during the year 2023. The ministry pointed out that the gross domestic product GDP with the fixed prices increased by 2%, amounting to 26,400 million Omani Riyals until the end of the third quarter of this year. The ministry added that the in-country value of oil activities with fixed prices increased by 0.5%, while non-oil activities witnessed an increase by 2.7%. It is expected that the Omani economy will continue to achieve further growth next year through adapting flexible economic policies that keep pace with global trends. The total amount of oil exports by the Sultanate of Oman until the end of November 2023 amounted to about 283,413,300 barrels, calculating the average price per barrel $81.6 as oil exports constituted 80.8% of the total oil production, amounting to over 350 million barrels. Data issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information indicated that the total production of crude oil decreased by 3.9% to reach 272,457,400 barrels, while the total production of oil condensates increased by 8.5%, recording 78,080,700 barrels, while the average daily production of oil 1,049,500 barrels until the end of November 2023. China topped the countries importing oil from the Sultanate of Oman, with total exports amounting to 260,636,600 barrels, followed by Japan with 8,885,900 barrels, then Korea with 3,802,700 barrels, and India with 2,716,200 barrels, while exports to the countries reached the other 7,371,800 barrels. The total domestic production and import of natural gas amounted to 49,444 million cubic meters by the end of November 2023, an increase of 4.9% compared to the same period in 2022, which amounted to about 47,113 million and 100,000 cubic meters. International news. The Palestinian death toll from Israeli occupation forces attacks in the Gaza Strip has exceeded 21,500, with more than 55,900 others injured since the latest round of Palestine-Israel conflict erupted on October 7th, according to the latest data released by Gaza-based Health Ministry yesterday. At least 187 Palestinians were killed in Israeli air and ground attacks on the Gaza Strip during the past 24 hours, the ministry said. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, yesterday said on social media that at least 308 people sheltering in the United Nations Agency facilities have been killed due to Israeli occupation forces attacks, with 1,995 others injured. The Israel Defense Forces yesterday stated that they had expanded military operations in southern Gaza's Khan Yunis over the previous 24 24 hours. On the same day, Hamas released multiple videos showing its armed members are continuing hitting Israeli military vehicles and personnel in various locations in Gaza. Hamas claimed that its operations have caused serious losses to the Israeli forces. For the second time this month, the Biden administration is bypassing Congress to approve an emergency weapons sale to Israel as Israel continues its aggression on Gaza under increasing international criticisms. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had told Congress that he had made a second emergency determination covering a $147.5 million sale for equipment. The emergency determination means the purchase will bypass the congressional review requirements for foreign military sales. Such determinations are rare but not unprecedented. Blinken made a similar decision on December 9th to approve the sale to Israel of nearly 14,000 rounds of tanks ammunition worth more than $106 million. The World Health Organization called on the international community to take urgent measures to address the worsening health and humanitarian crisis in Sudan and called for an increase in financial aid. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, Director General of the organization, stressed on the importance of urgently de-escalating the conflict in Sudan, where health and humanitarian crises are worsening with the displacement of hundreds of thousands of people, most of which are children and women, adding that basic health services in some states have shut down by 75%. The United Nations estimates that at least 7.1 million people have been displaced since the beginning of the conflict last April, and at least 12,000 people were killed. The Russian and Ukrainian armies continued to exchange fire yesterday, with each claiming to have hit the other's military targets, according to the latest battle reports of the two sides. The Russian Defense Ministry yesterday reported in a briefing that during the past week, Russian forces carried out 50 group strikes and one massive strike with precision weapons and drones against Ukrainian military industrial complex facilities, military airfield infrastructure arsenals, as well as arms and fuel depot. The Russian army also attacked the Ukrainian armed forces and foreign fighters and successfully repelled multiple Ukrainian offensives in the directions of Lyman and others. It also shot down 10 Ukrainian warplanes and 2 helicopters. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, AFO, reported that over the previous 24 hours, a total of 31 battles had taken place in the frontline areas. The AFO said that the Russian launched a record of 158 drones and missiles against Ukraine yesterday, and 115 of them were intercepted. Argentina has announced that it will not join the BRICS bloc for developing economies after it was scheduled to officially join the bloc next January. In a letter to the leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, the far-right president Javier Milei announced that Argentina will no longer join BRICS. He added that his approach to foreign affairs differs in many ways from that of the previous government. Therefore, some decisions made by the previous administration will be reviewed. Severe thunderstorms battled parts of eastern Australia today, bringing heavy rain, giant hail and strong winds days after another storm hit the region. A wild weather system is forecast to stretch more than 1,000 kilometers from the state of New South Wales to Queensland, with southeastern Queensland expected to bear the brunt of the storm. Some regions picked up 110 millimeters of rain, roughly a month's total in 2 hours today morning, while hailstones as big as 6 centimeters were also spotted. Meanwhile, an intense heat wave was sweeping across Australia's north and west. Temperatures in Marble Bar, a remote old mining town in Western Australia, are expected to touch 49 centigrade today. Expectations are set for Muscat Stock Exchange to perform well in 2024 due to many initiatives and transformations. Here is the detail on that.
Expectations are set for Muscat Stock Exchange to perform well in 2024, an improvement on its performance in 2023. Economic analysts have clarified that the general index of the exchange is expected to rise by about 15%.
Muscat Exchange performance during 2023 was not as good as expected. The index is down around 7%, and that is the reason is compared to the high interest rate globally and the other effect of the region, which is affected on the MSX, and I think 2024 will be different.
The resurgence of Muscat Stock Exchange is due to several reasons. Firstly, the existence of an expected larger subscription than in 2023 and the transformation undertaken by the Oman Investment Authority in offering more companies for public subscriptions, in addition to implementing the Financial Sustainability Programme to stimulate the local economy and particularly support the stock exchange, with strong optimism about the prospects of the Omani economy's growth in the upcoming period.
A lot of new IPO expected in the market, a lot of liquidity provider and market maker programs which are going to be launched soon, and that have been came out from support from Stability Fund, which has supported the market strongly. I think 2024 will be very good.
Muscat Stock Exchange experienced fluctuations in 2023, alternating rises and falls to record losses close to 7%, driven by declines across all sectors, notably industry, which fell by about 17%, then the banking sector by 6%, and the services sector by less than 4%. Furthermore, the exchange has undertaken several initiatives, the most prominent of which are liquidity provider and market maker, in addition to a project in its final stages, which is stock lending and borrowing.
This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Minister of Economy confirms the improved performance of the Omani economy in 2023 and indicates an increase in gross domestic product to 26 billion Omani riyals until the end of last September. The Israeli occupation forces continue its aerial and artillery bombardments on several areas of Gaza Strip. And the World Health Organization warns of the deteriorating humanitarian crisis in Sudan and calls on the international community to take urgent measures. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Once again, thank you for joining us.